Hi guys, welcome back. Welcome to today's video. Today is Thursday, so Throwback Thursday. I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys a little bit about this is obviously along the lines of mental health, and this is one of the mental health diagnoses or description of kind of like it's okay, so I'm talking about borderline personality disorder, and how does somebody get diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, or what are the factors and the symptoms of somebody with borderline personality disorder, and how does that even come about. So a lot of times with borderline personality disorder, it's partly genetic, but it's also situational, circumstantial, where, you know, you grew up in a home where there was a lot of verbal abuse. Maybe you were verbally abused, called names. You know, from a young age, you were never going to amount to anything. You know, you're worthless. You know, there could be physical abuse. Just public humiliation is a big factor. Shaming you for just being you, making you feel, you know, not good about yourself, making you feel ugly, or making you feel shame for a human nature type thing. You know, let's say, I don't know, let's just say one of your parents or somebody, a parental figure, or somebody who you should have been able to trust, somebody who should have been your protector, or your leader, your teacher, and they, you know, belittle you, or they compare you to others and say, why can't you be more like, you know, your brother? Why can't you be more like so-and-so's kid? So-and-so's kid, you know, has accomplished this in life and that in life, and, you know, look at you, and, you know, what happened to you? And, you know, if this is any indication of what your life is going to be like, you know, you're doomed and you might as well kill yourself, or, you know, something like that. But there's a lot of instability in the home, and a lot of instability and no consistency in, you know, what the mood is like at home, and the unpredictableness of, you know, what's today gonna bring? What kind of mood is my mother or father, or, you know, your parental figure? What kind of mood are they gonna be in when they come home? What's gonna happen? You know, this always being in the unknown, and so always having to be on guard and aware. And when you grow up like that, you know, and that's just part of your makeup, and that's part of, it becomes part of who you are, you start to develop, your personality gets, your personality is affected. Your personality is disrupted, and the person that you were born to be, and the you know, your natural born given personality, your natural born given ways, beliefs, you know, well, I can't say beliefs, because we're not born with beliefs. We grow and we learn beliefs. We look at examples of, you know, what your parents believe, what society believes, what, you know, what we should believe, and what we're taught to believe. So beliefs are something that you're taught, and it's a learned system. What do we believe to be the truth? What do we believe to be real? What do we believe to be right? And there's so much interruption and influences, outside influences, that when you're young and vulnerable and, you know, still naive, and your brain and everything's still forming, and you're, you know, you're growing, and your belief system just gets so, I can't say out of whack, because one belief system is different from the next belief system. Like, my belief system doesn't mean that what I believe is the true and real and only way, when you believe something completely opposite. And let's say, you know, somebody with a normal upbringing and somebody with a normal, what they believe to be normal. Everybody's normal is different. I mean, everybody's normal is different. You might get a couple different people in a group setting who actually think alike or agree, you know, things to be true. And, you know, what is a normal person? What is a normal reaction to, let's say, so like sociopaths, let's say, you know, you've been abused and you've been conditioned and you've just been molded into the person that you are today. And we do have free will, but by the time you become an adult, you've already been conditioned and ingrained in you that this is the right way, this is the wrong way, this makes you a good person, this makes you a bad person, and all those things you learn. And to believe that I'm a bad person because, you know, because I dress a certain way, or I'm a bad person because I don't believe like you believe, so that makes me weird or not normal. And people just inflict their beliefs and disbeliefs on you, and it just, you don't even have a chance to even learn your way, because obviously we're children, and obviously we're going to be dependent upon a parental figure, an adult, to show us the ropes, you know, to guide us through life, to get us to a point where, you know, we're parents and we parent, you know, from a baby, toddler, to grade school, to, you know, junior high, teenage years, up until adulthood, up until you're 18. By the time you're 18, you've already been showed and taught so many different ways that life should be and what's normal, and by parents, by relatives, by your teachers, by your pastor, or, you know, a group of friends, or your older brother and sister. You've already been shown so many different examples, and whatever you have spent the majority of your time believing, and the people you spend the majority of your time with, are really what you're learning from. So you're growing up with a false sense of, you know, you're this way because of this person, and you're this way because of that person. And it's not a cop-out, it's just literally the truth about what you were raised to believe and how you were raised to believe, and your personality has been tainted and taken you a whole different route. And, you know, and I'm talking about unhealthy stuff. I'm not talking about like a you know, a somewhat healthy, you know, upbringing or childhood. I'm talking about dysfunction. I'm talking about maybe growing up with an alcoholic parent, or drug activity in the home, or neglect. And not so much neglect like I'm leaving you home alone, but I'm neglecting your feelings, I'm neglecting your emotions, neglect can mean so many things. It doesn't mean that I'm not feeding you, or I'm not buying you clothes. You know, those are all material neglections, and if that's even a word, neglection. Those are all material things that you're being neglected with. And I think those are all important things. However, I think that emotional neglect is so much worse and so much more devastating, and it has such an impact on your life's journey, and it has an impact on your personality and your you know, what you're going to believe and how you're going to react to situations. Like, let's say somebody told you that I don't know, let's say you're 30 years old and you've been raised by, you know, in a very toxic environment. You've been raised by, you know, a parent who is a narcissist, sociopath, maybe drug addict, alcoholic. They were abused, so they're abusing, and you were raised by that, and you were raised with, they don't care what you think, they don't care how you feel. So you develop either a low sense of empathy or zero empathy. And so when things happen in life and somebody, you know, comes up to you and says, you know, a friend or just somebody you know, and they're like, you know, crying and they're really upset, and or they're just like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened. And, you know, you're like, what, you know, and they're like, you know, my grandfather died last night, and he had a heart attack. And you're like, wow, really? Like, what happened? Just, you know, he had a heart attack, or he died in his sleep. And, you know, my mom and the whole family's just really upset. And, you know, we got family flying in from this place and that place. And, you know, you're like, gosh, like, that's horrible, you know. But do you really feel like that's horrible, or are you just saying it because it's the right thing to say? And you know that in reality, even though you don't feel the feelings of empathy or sympathy, or you just don't feel anything at all, the right thing to say is, God, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, is there anything I can do? But are you saying, is there anything I can do? And I'm sorry because you genuinely feel sad for that person, or you genuinely feel like, what can I do? You know, can I, you know, bring over, you know, a casserole? You know, can I, you know, get your family anything? Is there anything I can do for you? You know, it's sad. But you're just going through the motions. You're not really saying. You're saying these things, but you're not feeling them. And it's not your fault that you're not feeling them, but this is part of the borderline personality disorder, is that, you know, a lot of times borderline personality disorders are also related to bipolar disorder, or it's related to like by manic depression, or anxiety, and anti-personality disorders. And you just don't feel anything. And it's not that it's not sad that somebody's grandfather died, you know. It's like, well, you know, how old was he? Well, it shouldn't matter how old his grandfather was. What should matter is that he died, and you know, they lost a loved one. But in most situations with a borderline personality disorder, or a sociopath, or a anti-personality disorder, it is like, okay, well, what's the big deal? He was 90. Like, I don't understand. Like, why is everybody so upset? You know, he lived a full life. You know, he's at peace. Like, what's the problem? Of course, you're not going to say those things to those people, but this is what an antisocial personality disorder actually feels. Like, they genuinely don't feel sadness. And, you know, the flip side of that is they genuinely don't feel joy either. And you have to manufacture feelings, and you have to, and it's sad, it's painful, and it's a sad way to be, because it's almost like, in order to feel, it's like you walk around numb. And like, not that you don't ever feel sad, and a lot of times when you do feel sad, it's because it's something that you're hurting about. It's something that, you know, your feelings are being hurt, or you're feelings or your needs aren't being met, and so you're upset and sad, and you can actually cry and your heart can feel broken, but it's usually something about something that happened to you. It's usually something about you know, something you're going through. You know, somebody broke your heart and you feel sadness for that, but you can't. People with borderline personality disorders, antisocial personality disorders, bipolar disorders, you know, narcissistic disorders, you don't feel anything. And again, it's not that person's fault. It's not your fault, because it's, you know, something happened to you early on in life that you didn't see people show emotions. You didn't see love being expressed. You didn't see joy being felt. You didn't see, you know, in good times, people express joy and love and, you know, reaching out and being there for each other. You didn't see any of that. And when bad things happened, you know, you didn't see reactions of real heartache and real despair. You just saw people not giving a crap, really, and nobody really showing any emotion. So how can you just all of a sudden one day show emotion? How can you just, I mean, it is human nature for us to feel things, but early on that gets hindered and that gets changed. It gets I can't think of the word. It gets your personality is changed. It's changed in the way that you should be feeling and thinking. Basically, it's your personality gets I can't think of the word. It just slipped my mind. It's altered, and that's what happens is your personality gets altered and it gets interrupted. And as a result of it getting interrupted, as a result of being physically, emotionally, verbally abused, you become a person who doesn't feel, and you have to manufacture feelings, and you have to say, okay, well, in this normal circumstance, like I said, the example before, I'm sorry that your grandfather died. It's robotic. Is there anything I can do? Well, this is the right thing to say. Do I feel in my heart for you? No, I don't, because, I mean, I'm sorry that I don't. I don't know why I don't, but I just don't. And it's a sad way to be, because in order to feel joy, a lot of times with borderline personality, antisocial personality, bipolar disorder, you know, just anxiety, anxiousness, depression, there's a lot of self-harm. People will cut themselves to feel something. People will, like, you have to take a pill to wake up. You have to take a pill to feel good, to feel joy. You have to take a pill to calm yourself down. Not that you're upset or sad, but your heart is racing, but it's not racing because something bad happened. It's racing because you have post-traumatic stress disorder for all the trauma that you went through. And all those things are so confusing. And the bottom line is, those are all real, true things. And if you go through life and you don't know what those things are, and you don't have a title to what you're feeling, you feel like you're losing your mind. And until somebody diagnoses you with borderline personality, bipolar, manic depressive, which is kind of the same as bipolar, antisocial personality disorder, until somebody tells you that this is what you have, you don't understand why, and you don't know why you feel this way. And the sad part at the end of the day about this whole mental health, you know, there's a spectrum. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody's on a different spectrum. You know, you could have borderline personality disorder and be bipolar. You could have borderline personality disorder and that's it. But for the most part, they all kind of tie together. So you almost can't have one without the other. But the thing about it, and the sad part about it, is there's not a cure. There's only treatment. And the treatment is mood stabilizers. A lot of times people self-medicate because yes, there's mood stabilizers, yes, there's antidepressants that will keep you from feeling depressed, but what's going to make you feel euphoria? What's going to give you that? When you're bipolar, you have moments of euphoria, but your crash is pretty bad. But the moments of euphoria don't last. And in order to have a normal, euphoric, joyful life, it's like you've been robbed, it's been stolen from you, and how do you get that back? Like, I would really like to know, like, how is that restored? Can that be restored? Can those feelings, can you be reformed? Can you be you know, healed from all that stuff that from all over the years that made you into this person who doesn't feel? And you know, in order to feel sadness, you have to feel joy, and if you can't feel joy and sadness, you have to manufacture feelings, which leads to self-medicating. And you know, it's just like a vicious cycle. And I don't know, I was watching an interview too on this sociopath person who was basically saying that, and this is what happens, okay, so this is what happens with people who have been abused. You get into relationships, you make friendships, maybe intimate relationships, which again, everything is superficial, everything is robotic, everything is, I'm not saying you can't feel in love, or you know, you don't have those moments where you're like, oh my God, like I'm in love, or oh my God, when I see this person call, or you know, I know they're coming, you know, I have butterflies and I feel excited, and you know, it's all temporary stuff. But it's like, once that wears off, then what? Like, you're looking for something else to fill that void. You're always going to feel boredom. You're always going to feel like, okay, well, this is old now. Let's move on and find somebody new so that I can get those feelings going again. And you know, basically what they were saying was that, and what we do, people who are abused, is you start sharing your life. You start sharing all your, you know, spilling your guts. Like I like to say, I overshare. And when there's predators out there, and I can call them predators because they're narcissistic people, sociopaths, who prey, and what they do is they listen. They listen really well. They're really good listeners because they care about you. They genuinely want the best for you. They want to be your superhero. They want to save the day. But what they're really doing is they're collecting information. They're collecting information so that they see all your weaknesses, and they know where you're hurting, where you're lacking, where you're wounded. And then what they do is they put on this mask. Okay, she needs me, he needs me to be the fixer. She's hurting here, so this is where I'm going to shower her with gifts, or shower him with gifts, and I'm going to love bomb them because this is what they need. And that person is going, wow, like I finally met somebody who gets me. I finally met Mr. Right, Mrs. Right. And it's all a bunch of role playing. And that's how we end up in these situations and relationships. It's like, how do I keep ending up in the same relationship? Just a different person. And man, I'm telling you, it's like a mind fuck situation where, can you ever really be in a genuine, loving, giving and taking relationship? Is there ever really a reciprocation of love and joy and sharing, and you know, being there for each other genuinely, and you know, me feeling your pain and you feeling my pain? Can that ever really be real? And the sad part about it is it can. To an extent, everything can, but everything to a degree is manufactured. Whether it be joy, love, continuous love, because, you know, we can all feel the honeymoon stages of a relationship. You know, are we capable when you're injured and you're traumatized? Are you capable of having long, healthy relationships? I mean, you can, but there's always going to be lack. There's always going to be sacrifice. You're always going to have to accept a shit ton of stuff, negatives, of a person in order to get the little bit of joy that they bring, or in order to get the financial support that they're offering. You have to sacrifice yourself and your beliefs, and that's what happens when you're abused and you grow up and you have borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, bipolar. A lot of it is genetics, but basically with borderline personality, multiple personalities, you kind of have to create these different, we create these different personalities, or they're manufactured. We don't actually create them, but we go to these different places, and you walk into a room and it's already part of your nature. It's like human nature. It's like, you know, being in the wolves, that they raise their babies and they watch, you know, and they watch for their prey, and they know when to pounce and when to get their food and how to survive. And that's what happens with humans, is it's almost like an animal nature that you have to observe. And it's just, you know what's really scary? The scary, sad part about it is you could smell people. You could smell their fears. You could see their insecurities. You can smell their motives. You see their motives. And a lot of times the people that we love, we can read them, and they have no idea that we're onto them. They have no idea that we know their ulterior motive, or we know that they have ill feelings towards us, and we know there's an energy in the room. And when you are so sensitive, and you become sensitive, and because of all the stuff you've been through in your life has made you this person that's like, almost like, it's almost like your, what do you call it? Like when you have like a crystal ball, and you are, you see things, and you know things, and you can see the future. You can see things before they happen. You know, you have it's almost like you're like a fortune teller, you know. It's like you're a medium, like you know things before they happen, or you see them as they're happening. And so you start to be weary and leery, and it makes you antisocial. So, you know, if you start to avoid social situations and social gatherings and engagements, because let's say you've already picked up on all this stuff, all these different vibes from other people, and you've already picked up on it, and let's say these people invited you to go somewhere, or they invited you to come over, or you invited them to come over, or you're going to have a get together and you're going to invite these different people, but you already know that this person and this person that you kind of have to invite, you already know what's going on with them. And even if they don't say anything, even if they don't tell you anything, or if somebody close to them isn't, you know, giving you the heads up on what's going on, you already know. It's a gift and it's a curse, and it's just a sad place to be. And you know, I'm just speaking from experience, and I'm just talking about my own personal experiences, and my own personal I guess things that I've gone through in my life, and things that have made me who I am today. I'm happy within myself as much as I possibly can be, as much as I know how to be. I'm always looking for and trying, like I said, I told you guys, I'm always trying to heal myself. I'm always trying to get better and be better and give more and just be a more loving, giving, genuine person. I genuinely can feel sadness. I genuinely can feel, I empathize with people to a fault, to where I take on people's stuff. You know, when you've been abused and you don't want to upset your abuser, you grow up and you're a people pleaser. And so when you got being a people pleaser and you start to see people responding, they're frowning, and you pick up on it, or their body composure changes and you're picking up on it. So you're constantly trying to feed and meet the needs of people around you, that you're just, it's exhausting. It's literally mentally and physically exhausting, because you're so aware of what's going on around you with everybody that you're constantly in the heightened state of, it's like, you know, fight, flight, or freeze state, and you're constantly in that state. You're observing. Do I flee? Do I stay? You know, how do I respond to this person who I already know is full of shit, basically? It's a sad place. It's a sad way to live, you guys. But when you have no other choice and you just try to make the best out of your life and out of relationships, it is a lonely way to be. I'm not saying that you can't be happy and you can't find joy. I am genuinely happy, and my personality and my sense of humor keeps me going. And I know you guys have seen it in all my videos, and you see me, you know, one day I'm happy and upbeat, and one day I'm doing makeup, and one day I'm like totally into doing makeup, and sometimes I'm just kind of like not there, but I'm there, and I'm just like, you know, going through the motions. And some days I'm upset about, you know, something that's going on in my life with Social Security, for instance, or, you know, my prescriptions, or relationships, or situations that, you know, that happen, my health, bad days, good days. I mean, and that's just in anybody's life. I mean, everybody has good days and bad days. It's not just like, oh, you know, I just have all this weird shit going on. It's just a whole mixture of things to try to balance all that out. At the end of the day, it's a sad reality when your phone's not ringing and people either know that you're feeling bad or feeling sad, but for whatever reason they're still not reaching out to you. And it's okay, because you already know. So you were already expecting it. And people disappoint us, and we're all human, and we're all gonna, and I'm sure I disappoint people too, but I don't know. I guess the point of this video is just, it's a sad life when you're struggling with mental illness. It's a sad life when you're struggling with borderline personality disorders or antisocial personality disorder, and how it's all manufactured and where it stems from, and how you really have no control, because by the time that you realize all these things that you have, you're already in your 20s and 30s, and you try to work with that and try to change those things. Some things you can change, a lot of things I've changed, and some things that just will never change, and I have to be okay with that. And I have to be okay with the relationships that I have, or the mediocre relationships that I have, or the relationships that I don't have. And so, I mean, it is what it is, right? But it's not easy. And a lot of all that stuff stems from your childhood and what you go through your life. And, you know, it sucks for a lot of people who have had that upbringing, because they do end up with all these issues that also, because of all that, affects your relationships. It affects your lack of relationships, but it also affects the people that you draw in and the people that you're attracted to, because you attract what you know. You attract what's familiar to you. And we are all a little bit narcissistic, because we all want what we want. We all have wants and needs. We eat, we drink. That's all self-serving, right? We go get a new car because we want a new car, self-serving. We go buy new clothes, self-serving. We're all pretty much narcissistic to a degree. But anyway, that's my take on borderline personality disorder, antisocial, bipolar, You know, it's a wide spectrum. Not, like I said, it's not a one size fits all. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody's stuff is brought on the same. Some people, you know, you could just be genetically a narcissist because your dad, your grandfather, it was how you were raised. But again, some things are genetic, but some things are also what you learn, you know, and what's being taught to you, right? You go to school and you learn what the teacher teaches you. You learn that. And so you take that through your life, what you learned. You take the skills, the knowledge, the good and the bad, and you take that through your life and you use that and you utilize those skills and tools, whether they be good, healthy, positive, or negative. You use those to get through your life. And, you know, is it normal? What's normal? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Hope you didn't find it like I was talking in circles, but it's basically the bottom line is with borderline personality and antisocial personality and just a lot of mental illness, not all of it, is you either feel sad, happy, or both, really high, really low, or you don't feel anything at all, and you have to manufacture happy and joy, and you have to manufacture sadness and empathy. It's because, like, it's not your fault. It really is not your fault at the end of the day. You can try to be a better person. You can try to treat it the best you can, but it is what it is, and that's just, you know, our life's journey, my life's journey, other people's life's journey, and it's all for a reason, for learning, teaching, you know. So I hope you found it helpful. Leave your comments, your questions, your suggestions on this topic. Hopefully it'll reach somebody, and if you feel that what I've said makes sense, let me know. If you feel like it didn't make sense, let me know. And yeah, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.